Welcome to your Notability training or refresher. Today, we want to walk you through how to use Notability, but also how to create an assignment on Schoology so that Notability is useful to you. So what you see in front of you is a document that I've already created. It's in Google. I don't have to recreate everything that I have. The nice thing is that I can use all my Google documents. I can use a PDF worksheet. If I find something online and it's already in PDF format, I can use that and my kids can manipulate it. If you've never created them from your Google Documents, it's super simple. Under File, after your assignment is done and ready to go, click on it and then scroll down to Download. By Download, you're going to see all of these options, but you're going to look here for the middle one that says PDF document. And once you have that, just click on it and it's simply going to take whatever it is you've created here in Google and download it to your computer as a PDF. From there, I'm going to go back into Schoology just like I've always done, and I'm going to open up my folder. Now let's say I'm trying to put it into week 3. Once I open it up, I'm going to go into my group, or as we move into distance, it'll just be into one file, and I'm going to add it as a material to the day that I want it. So let's say that it's going to go into Monday's information, and click Add Materials. Now, when you're creating a Notability assignment, you want to always click Add Assignment. This is going to give your kids not only the knowledge that you care and that you are going to look at what they do and that their submission actually means something, but it's going to give them a place to turn it into you. If you don't add it as an assignment, your students are only going to have it on Notability, and the only way you're going to be able to see it is if you physically see the computer, or they have to email it to you. So if you want hundreds of emails, feel free, just add it as a file, but I would recommend to you that you add it as an assignment. So here I'm going to give it a title. Because we don't have groups anymore, I don't need to identify if it's group A or group B. If and when we ever go back into hybrid, I would always recommend that you also label it as which group it is. But again, for right now, we don't have that. Now down here in the description, you can include your directions for what to do. Our 6th grade students right now are so comfortable with this that all I include in my description, because all of my directions are actually in my assignment, is place document into Notability and turn in when complete. This is enough for them because they've been practicing. If you need to include more directions up here, feel free. You're going to want to include how many points it's worth, and you have to select a category. Once you have set up your point value and everything, don't forget to attach your PDF that you spent so hard creating. So you're just going to click on here, File, this first option. Mine's the top one, the one I just created in Download because it was my most recent. I'm going to click Open, and here it is. You can save changes. And here it is exactly where I wanted it. And again, I was very simple in my directions because all of my directions are in my PDF. So now I'm going to move on to my iPad. Now, before you pull your first assignment into Notability, open up your Notability app and I want you to check out a few things. On the left-hand side, you will see that all of your notes are organized into folders. You aren't going to have those unless you create them. So just a couple of pointers. To add a new folder, in the upper right-hand corner, click the plus sign. Now, if you are like me and you want your students to have multiple folders for your subject, my subject being science, you're going to want to set up a divider first. Dividers are going to help you, again, just group those folders into what they are going to be. So I'm going to call this one Practice. If your class is English, call it English. Have your students call it English. Now underneath your dividers, here's where you can add your separate folders. And this is where the kids and you can organize all of your information. So maybe you want one of your subjects, again, it feels backwards to me, but one of your subjects to be notes. Like you would just simply call it notes. If it's like science notes versus English notes, you would have to decipher that. The great thing is that after you've created it, just click and hold, and I can now drag it underneath that divider that I had set up. And it will sit under there to be isolated against all of my other folders that I've created. So once you've had your students do that, one more thing to check out. Bottom left-hand corner, click that settings button, and you want to make sure by checking your auto backup that your Google Drive has been selected. This is not automatically set up for us. So if you've never been in Notability before, please make sure that you, again, left-hand side, auto backup, and just check your Google Drive. This way, everything that you have is backed up into Google Drive. Otherwise, if your iPad crashes, everything that you have created, everything your students create will crash along with it. So get that backup set up. So once I'm ready for my kids to grab the assignment, I'm always going to encourage them to go to their app version of Schoology. That's the white background. You always want to think, if you're going app to app, Notability is an app, always send them through the app, especially when they're picking up PDFs. It will be no problem time every time they try it. If they go through the web browser, yes, there's a workaround, they can get it to work, but it becomes such a headache. Why give yourself a headache? Teach them the easy route. Go through the app. So have them find your course, remind them where your assignment is. Mine happens to be right here. And when I go to it, I'm going to see at the very top, no matter if I put a whole page of directions, my attachment's going to end up right underneath the heading, which is nice. Kids don't have to search very far for it. So I'm going to tap on the PDF, and it's going to look just like it is when I created it. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a share button. It looks like an arrow going out. So I am going to tap on that share button. And here's the deal. Again, another reason why you want your kids to go through the app for later on. If they don't have Schoology downloaded as an app, they're not going to be able to find Notability quite as easily. So to simply put it into Notability, I'm going to tap on Notability, create a new note. Every time, create a new note. If they don't create a new note, it's just going to keep attaching it to the last note they were in. The note title should just stay as whatever you have created it, so make sure you're titling your PDFs with purpose. And then right here under subject, they can go straight to your organization. So we just created this note section in our organization of Notability. When I use that, this helps my kids be able to find it easily and helps me direct my kids so that we should all have it in the same location. So always remind them which folder you want them to import it into. Once they've checked their title, checked where it's going, simply in the upper right-hand corner, click Import. After doing that, now they can go into Notability and play with it, do the assignment, and everything else that they are in. So again, I'm going directly where I told them to go. I told them to put it in Notes. So if I go there, the only thing I have placed in this folder is the assignment that I opened today. Here you can see I can scroll through. I can see the whole thing. I can zoom in with my 2-finger pinch. It's really great because it's just so easy to move. Now, a couple of the tools that are in here that you might love as much as I do. This very first one is a text box. It does have it most of the time that is pre-selected as draw, which simply means that the kids just put their finger where they want it to start and drag. It'll create the text box as they want. You'll see that I'm not currently hooked up to my keyboard, so the keyboard's popping up. You're seeing this, but right at the top of the keyboard, you can choose the font size, you can choose the font, the color, bold it, italicize, underline, and over here on the right-hand side, then you also have all the options of indentation, bulleting, numbering, all of these great things that we're used to in Google. Notability has them too. So please don't write Notability off as it's not as good as Google. It's so much better. Once you have played with that, you can again type your answer in here. And I just happen to pre-select my font. The kids love to play with this, so give them a little time the first time that they are using it. Other tools up here, you have the writing tool. Now, once you select it, you can change the size of your font. You can select your color. This is great for note-taking, for annotation, for making notes themselves. We've been teaching them to do that for years, so now they don't have to carry around as many highlighters and pencils. They have all the tools right here. Speaking of highlighters, we also do have highlighters. So again, it's the same feature. It can go as big or small as you want it to be, the different colors. And the beautiful thing is that the kids can use this, can mark everything up and make it their own, which is fun. So even if that means coloring their notes and their assignment in a little bit, why not? If to them that's ownership, give it to them. My favorite part is this middle tool here. There is an eraser, but the kids are going to erase and erase and erase and think that just like in Google, they were deleting everything that we have created. Well, the awesome part is once they release, everything we created and imported does not go away. This is one of my favorite things. The first time your kids are going to have a great time thinking they'll erase your entire worksheet like they've done in Google assignments, and then they pretend there was no question, I couldn't answer it. Well, they can't actually do that here. This is a PDF, so everything you create stays here. Everything they add in, they can erase. So it's kind of nice if they screw up, they can delete it and it never has to even be there. There's the cut and paste feature, like again, we're used to. And then really teach them this this hand quite early on, because it does help in scrolling through your document. If you have it selected, let's say on the pencil, I'll just keep writing on my document without trying to. Again, I can easily erase it. But if I select that pencil up on, I keep calling it a pencil, that hand up on the top, I can more easily scroll. Now, one of my favorite features is when I'm using text. So those of us that teach English, like we all do a little bit, those of us that teach reading and are going through it, looking for key points, our kids can use the highlighting feature and they can highlight everything just to help them go back and find those pieces later on. So that's really an awesome piece. Now, for those of us that like GIFs and like the fun parts, just click on that plus button here. Kids can add GIFs. It's amazing. They think it's hilarious. They can also take pictures of things. So for your kids that really would rather still use pen paper, write their notes there, they can take their picture and insert it directly into your document. So this is really a nice feature too for our kids. And for our students that really struggle typing, that have accommodations using text to type, there is also the microphone. So you have lots of options in here. Play around with them, and again, if you have questions, please let me know and ask them all. But finally, once they've completed the document, how do they submit? It's quite simple, but again, it takes practice for the kids. In the upper left-hand corner, just like for any of you Apple users, there is the share button, the arrow up with the box around it. Simply click on it, and at first glance, it doesn't look like we have Schoology. We do. At the very bottom, tap on Other Apps. And now you're going to have all of these options. These are automatically set. You don't need to change anything. So simply click Share Note. And this is the piece where, again, we needed to make sure we had that Schoology app. So you're going to scroll and find the Schoology app. Might say copy of Schoology, same thing, just the white background. Tap on it, and it's now going to connect you to your Schoology app. So the very top, I'm going to click Submit to Assignment. Now, you're not going to be able to see this on yours right now because you don't have access to my classroom, so you don't have this assignment. But this is what it'll look like for the kids. They would tap on now Your Classroom. Now, I don't have access to my classroom either, but I created a couple other ones. So let's pretend I am submitting it to Fax. The hard part is you can't show them through yours because you're not a student in your own course. So you can pretend that you're showing it to another class if you are showing them what it looks like. But just like my students would see if they had selected my class, they would click my course and then simply find my assignment. This is why we have to be purposeful with naming our assignments. So currently right now you can see the same assignment is listed twice, Group A, Group B. Now going into distance learning, we're not going to need to do that, so that will make this a little bit easier for the kids. If we ever go back into hybrid, again, you're going to want to make sure that you are labeling things Group A, Group B. Otherwise, like here on the bottom, you would see that it is the same assignment listed the exact same. Kids don't know which one to click on. You don't know which one to click on. So it's just really important that we are labeling Group A, Group B when we are hybrid. When we're in distance, it's not going to matter because they'll all go to the same place. Once they submit, that's it. Again, if you have questions, please let me know. I know that was fast, but I would be happy to walk you through. Send me an email. I can WebEx you kind of at any time. You know how this works, but send me an email if you have any questions.